Evan Barker is a former Democratic campaign operative and the author of the new book, Nothing Left. Great to have you. Thanks for coming on. I can't wait to read your book, but I've not read it yet. But my understanding is that well, let me begin by asking you this. When you look at all of that between Gretchen Whitmer and Gavin Newsom, what is your gut reaction to that?
Well, I think what the moderates of the party are realizing, if you'd even call them that, Charlie, are that the Democratic Party is now controlled by this very radical leftist base. And so they are now trying to appeal to that new base. And at the same time, and what I write about in my book, a lot of people don't realize this, but, you know, oftentimes the staffers that work for these more moderate Democratic politicians are actually very radical themselves. And they're telling them that they need to lean in and go more far to the left. And I think it's going to be really hard, like you said, for somebody like Gavin Newsom to be number two. But I think he would need to be because, you know, he's going to be running on California's record, which is pretty abysmal.
Well, one of the reasons that I'm looking forward to reading your book is because I think in the book you go into kind of what's happened to your party and the ways that it's been hijacked by this DSA or this socialist wing or these super progressives. Explain to us how that happened, and do you think there is any hope that more sane Democrats in the party could possibly wrench it back out of the hands of the DSA people?
You know, it's been really confusing me. It's been very confusing to me, Charlie, because when I first joined Bernie Sanders' movement, he was a lot more moderate on issues like guns and immigration. And I've seen him kind of be dragged further and further to the left by what he views as his message bearers, people like AOC and Ilhan Omar, and now Abdul El-Sayed. And so, you know, I think that the Democratic Party, part of the reason it's been overtaken is because the establishment tried really hard in 2020 to block us. And in 2019, after AOC won, they did a blacklist. And that actually backfired on them. And it made the far left grow stronger. It made us train each other, recruit our own donors, oftentimes billionaire donors. That's something that I go into a lot in my book, Nothing Left. And so at this point, I think they've kind of been captured from all sides. They have these hyper left leaning donors coupled with the staff that's been radicalized and the base.
And what's really interesting about it is that you hear a lot of these Democrat socialists talk about the working class. But as you just referred to, talking about the original Bernie movement, there's nothing working class about this. Working class does not believe in defunding the police department. They don't believe in open borders. If they actually listen to those voters that Bernie appealed to back in 2016 when the party rigged the primary against him, he was actually talking about the issues, those economic issues that working class people cared about.
Yeah, it's a combination of economic and cultural issues. You know, I come from a family that used to support the Democrats, and now most of them vote for Donald Trump and the GOP. And, you know, they are a family of union construction workers and working class people. And I think, you know, we've seen the Democrats become completely captured by this overeducated base that has pushed them far to the left on all of these issues. And now you've got donors and all these other people that are feeding into it. And I think Bernie's movement really, really changed as well. And so I think it's going to be really hard for them, especially if they're going up against J.D. Vance in 2028 to win the blue wall back. I think it could be a real problem.
I want to play a quick clip for you from President Trump talking about AOC running and get your reaction.
She said the other week, AOC, woke one was crazy. She's trying to back away from those comments. Why do you think she's trying to do that? Is she going to run for president?
I think so. But if you really look at it, they're all saying the same thing. They're all trying to disavow themselves from saying about crime. And we love sanctuary cities. All the things that they said, they're now trying to disavow. But people know the woke. I mean, they know the woke. And the woke will become woke again as soon as they get elected.
I do understand that, you know, there are voters that don't like Donald Trump, and I've always gotten that and everything. But he's a pretty smart analyst when it comes to sort of watching the machinations of the parties. Is he right about that? Or is there any hope that the establishment will be able to bring the Democrat Party back to kind of a saner ground?
Well, I'll say this. I think he's definitely right that woke is going to come back. It's going to come back more organized and more serious than before. I can guarantee you that. Since I've written this book, I've gotten so many messages from Democratic staffers that are still in the party that are telling me their stories, and they're telling me that this is still happening in Democratic campaigns. So he's absolutely right about that. As far as AOC running for president, I don't think she has it in her. I just don't. And I talk about that in my book as well.
You don't think...
Just that she's a little different behind the scenes than people realize.
This sounds really interesting. But you don't think that she would be... It does seem like that's where all the sizzle is within the Democrat Party. I don't know who would be able to take her on in the Democrat Party, but you know better than I do.
I think she doesn't like rocking the boat. I think if Chuck Schumer and Hakeem Jeffries tell her not to run, she will not run. That's what I think.
She's a total faker. She's smelled the power, and she wants to keep that power close to her. Amazing. Evan, thank you so much. Great to have you on.
Be sure to like and subscribe for all the Fox News latest on YouTube, and catch full shows streaming now on Fox One.